City of Green Bay Housing Authority meeting for Thursday, January 21st, 2021. And it looks like we've got roll calls already done electronically here, so the next order of business is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
And I will second. So we have a motion and a second for approval of the agenda. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No opposition. The agenda is approved. Next order of business is approval of the minutes from the November 19, 2020 meeting of the Green Bay Housing Authority. That is in your packet. Are there any additions or corrections or any commentary?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, and I will second. All in favor of approval of the minutes from November 19th signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Regular business, item E. Item number 1, consideration with possible action on approval of the June 30, 2020 audit report.
You, Steph, you're on mute. I thought I got it. I know you guys are super sad that you didn't get the hard copies, so you could put yourselves to sleep, but they were electronically sent to you.
Took me forever to get them opened.
Sorry about that. There were no findings, so that was all good. And everything went pretty smooth with it, even being virtual for part of it. The auditors did come here for a couple of days. They should have contacted a few of you for, just general questions. But like I said, there's no findings. Everything looks pretty good. So I don't know, does anybody have any questions on it?
Oh,
Okay. Thanks, Dad.
do we need a motion? Do we need a motion to approve?
It has to be approved because that's what I use for my submission to HUD. I'll make that
I will
motion.
make that motion. I will second. So you got a motion by Sandy and a second by me. Any further questions? Otherwise, all in favor of approving the audit report, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, consideration with possible action on approval of the housing study. And I asked that this be put on the agenda for this meeting just because we got it very late in the, I think in the process before that November 19th meeting. So it was a pretty extensive document. I just wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to review it and then to provide us an opportunity to discuss it if there was anybody had any questions or issues. And I guess I just throw this back to Cheryl. Anything in there that you see coming down the road that this body needs to focus on coming out of that report?
Well, it was a great report. There were a lot of things in it. But with regards to the Housing Authority, of course, we're going to play a role with the need for affordable housing. So there was a clear need for the lower end affordable supportive housing, as well as housing for needs universally designed housing as well. So I see us playing a role in that, in the creation of that. The other thing that came out of it is that our population in Green Bay is aging. So over the next 20 years, there's going to be 15,000 of our residents that are going to age into the 80 plus category, which makes me wonder,
I'm raising my hand on that one.
what the need is for, senior designated housing as well in the community, because that of course is a need now. So looking at that, things, I wish we were more flush with money, of course, as a housing authority. So we would have some resources that could help fill the gaps for developers who want to build affordable housing. One thing I've learned is that if you're going to build affordable housing, you need subsidy from somewhere, whether it's low-income housing tax credits or, maybe using us as a revenue bond source or something to that effect. There's going to be a gap because the rents aren't going to allow that developer to float that project with affordable rents. So that's something that I know the city is definitely working on. We've extended 2 of our kids, I believe, an extra year to create some affordable housing money coming in that we can use to help fill those gaps. That's going to happen this year and next year, I believe. And the other thing I was thinking about when I was looking at this was in kind of a backward kind of way, you know, we're taking our scattered sites out of the public housing pool and doing them as Section 18, right, kind of like a project-based voucher. Well, that creates 50 additional public housing units that we can then do something with. And looking at Mason Manor and trying to figure out how we're going to redevelop Mason Manor may include maybe taking some of those units out as well under Section 18, but that, by doing that, that allows us to create additional public housing units. So, you know, we can do 48, I think, or well, we have 50, right, that we can use with our scattered sites. So, you know, that I think might entice some development if it's even a larger project, if half of them are public housing and the other half might be affordable or a different kind of mix. I think that gives us the opportunity as the housing authority to be able to create some units that way, but those are my thoughts. I mean,
So, yeah,
any comments or thoughts?
I do, if I could.
Yeah.
If I could. So you could use those, let's say, 48 to give to 5 development projects that are currently happening, correct? Like you could split them up? Is that how that would work? Or would it have to be something that we would create? So like, you know, we're seeing apartments going up all over, primarily Brown County versus just the city of Green Bay. Mm-hmm. But we're still seeing that. So, I mean, the stadium is just like exploding with new apartments. And what I see an issue with this aging population is accessible apartments, and not necessarily fully, so we're not thinking about undercuts, everything and everything, but barrier-free showers in everyone, those types of things, and then that subsidy that would go along with it, because that's probably one of the biggest things that we see in our independent living center is individuals who've owned their homes for a very long time. They aren't able to take care of them. A spouse may be disabled, and they don't have the funds to modify their home, nor it's just too hard for them to maintain, but there's nothing out there that will give them the accessibility that they need. Or it's just general population of people with disabilities coming into our area with no accessible housing available. Because the minute those places are taken up, people stay there forever because there's just not a lot of other choices for them. Granted, so many of them don't mind staying there forever because it is accessible, they like where they're living, things like that, but that just allows us no stock until someone practically dies. So I would like to see, because we have the voucher for Section 8 that can go anywhere, it doesn't need to be specific to a person with a disability. But when that person, so right now, I was working with somebody in an assisted living who finally just moved out, but it was 2 years before she found an accessible apartment. That's the expense we as taxpayers put in for that individual to stay in assisted living. So, and that's a huge dollar amount compared to what we could do if we added to that stock of units that are accessible. But specifically, I don't think people would mind if you undercut a sink, just put the doors in and then people can open the doors and roll under. I don't think people would mind that. But I will tell you, the roll-in shower is usually the thing that stops a person from getting out of the nursing home and getting into something independent. Whether it's a 40-year-old who had a car accident and is now a spinal cord injury, or if it's a elderly person whose spouse maybe passed away or has now incurred a disability and has no place to go because nothing's accessible. So that's my
Sandy, Sandy, I don't see those public housing units. I don't see them like 1 or 2 units being part of another development project because we still have to manage them.
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
But I could see, those, maybe we build, like, new accessible housing, and it's scattered. Or we do 4 of them in one place, or something to that effect. I think that gives us.
Yeah, and I think that would be really important, is I like that scattered, I like the, not necessarily congregate, but, so not like 50 apartments, but if it is, it is. That's not gonna be a breaker for many people, but it's that ability to live throughout, not just segregated in this one area or in this one building, so, yeah.
So
We could purchase existing too, actually, and rehab it to make it accessible.
I want to ask some questions about this because I think it's a huge need, but it's also a bigger floor plate, right? So the letter of the law on accessible or ADA construction, it's not just as simple as a roll up underneath the sink, right? Sandy, you know that, of course.
Right.
It's bigger doors, it's wider hallways, it's clearance to get to doors, and I think it's a straight up need. It's also bigger floor plate means higher cost of construction or higher cost per square foot, right? Which means further from affordable housing. You mentioned the ones by the Titletown district, and those cost $900,000 a piece. That's not affordable.
I know for condos, yeah. Yeah, no, and I get that, Steve, because I'm aware, but studies have been done that really when you're looking at the basic fair housing laws for accessibility, they don't add a lot. So you don't need as much, if you're looking at wider doors, you don't need as much board on the side then. I mean, plasterboard, whatever. I can't think of the name of it. I know it usually. But the wall space, you have a little wider hallway, you might make the rooms a little smaller. Not huge, but together 6 inches. You have a wider doorway, maybe a 40-inch versus a 36 if there's a turning into the bathroom. So what they found throughout is that doesn't add an extremely amount of cost, but housing right now, period, end of it, no matter whether it's accessible or not, is extremely cost prohibited for people with low incomes, extremely.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think we could probably argue about the details on what
Sure.
10% more cost looks like. I don't know.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
It's not money I've got hiding under my mattress. Do we have the option to protect our bonding with heightened criteria from building code? So somebody comes to us with a project for some low-income housing, they want us to bond or help them bond it, right? Can we say, hey, sure, we want 100% accessible units? Is that the option we have as a housing authority? Because the building code doesn't mandate that, right? The building code has to be percentage, but can we put restrictions on top of that as a housing authority that would up the ante on requirements?
Absolutely. If we had money that, if we had, because we've funded other projects, right, in the past.
Right.
So if we had extra money to be able to do that, absolutely, as a housing authority, we could say, if we're going to fund you, you need to do this many units accessible. You could look at design. You could look at all these different factors. So, yeah, we have the ability to do that.
Yeah, and I think for especially for investing, so they're looking at, so many of the apartments now that aren't necessarily upper end, but when you're looking at 2-bedroom, they'll do like a bath and a half, or they'll do 2 bathrooms. So the ones that were built over at Red Cross 10 years ago, they had the 2 bathrooms. One had a tub shower unit, one had just a regular shower unit in it, but neither one was accessible. So I've had many people age out of those because of disability. They can't maintain it. The carpet was extremely thick. They can't get into the bathroom with their wheelchair. I mean, it's just, when things like that go up, to me, it's just sad that they're not even using visible, universal design even. So that no matter what, they can still maintain function in at least 1 bathroom. So,
Sandy,
yeah.
Sandy, do you know, Do you know what the count would be? Like, you know how many people roughly? I don't know if it's, I don't think it said that in the housing study, but how many people need accessible housing?
I do not know like the exact number. I just know that that is the thing that I have found in my work for the last over 30 years, is that when someone acquires a disability that one of their needs for housing is accessible bathrooms, it's the most difficult thing to find.
Well, and we just talked about, you know, people aging in the community, so
yeah.
even if you're just older and may need some
Correct.
assistance. That,
yeah,
right?
I mean, who wants to, at 88, still if you're doing pretty good and living in one of those apartments over by Red Cross, step into a tub? I mean, accidents are just, yeah, so when you're building senior housing, and I don't know if this is something that the city of Green Bay can ask, or the county can ask, is just to mandate when this is happening in senior housing, they should have an accessible area. Why are we putting tub showers? Mm-hmm. You know, or put a shower in that the lip can be removed, so you have like a rubber dam height underneath, so someone can at least get in easily. Yeah, those are showers that are being built that way. So just food for thought, but really, if we can get those 48 into accessible, period, end of it, that would be a huge barrier removed for our area. And it's not just one bedroom, but primarily it's the 1 bedrooms to 2 bedrooms. You don't see a lot of the 3-bedroom family units needed as much, but really the 1 and 2 bedrooms are huge.
Okay.
And I do like the idea of it being all over the, you know, dispersed, not just one place.
Great, good discussion. Any other questions or thoughts on the housing study? No, hearing none, we'll move on. Consideration with possible action on writing off delinquent tenant accounts effective February 1.
Bill?
Yes.
Can we get an approval of that study? Just have the housing authority approve it?
I'll make that
Sure.
motion.
I'll second that motion.
What do we?
We have a motion and a second to approve the housing study.
Why?
Need to get some discussion.
Why do we need to approve the study?
It's an endorsement. I look at it as an endorsement. It's been passed by the RDA, the council, and the housing authority.
Okay.
Any further questions? All in favor of approval of the housing and study, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, on to number 3, consideration with possible action on write-off of delinquent tenant accounts effective February 1, 2021.
Yes. So we do this semi-annually. This is just writing them out of our HAPPY system so that they don't continue to bog down the system. I do track them separately and we still go after payment. This is just reducing our accounts receivable so that it doesn't ding us on HUD's end, and it lessens the amount that we have to look through in our system.
Okay. And all that information is in our packet. Any additional comments on what's in the packet?
I'll make a motion
Right.
to approve.
I'll second that
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the write-off effective February 1st. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to informational GBHA bills that are in our packet. Any, Stephanie, anything you want to highlight in there?
You're muted, Steph.
I swear I unmuted and it just mutes itself back on me.
Absolutely. No, I'm sure it did.
Nothing too out of the ordinary. We did have a couple of new vendors for some sign language. We have a tenant that it requires that, so that could be something that we see a little bit more, but that's the only kind of new and not normal thing.
Okay.
So Jamie, what are you utilizing for your interpreting services?
We use Todd, you can correct me, you usually set it up, but her name is Carrie, I believe.
Oh, okay, yeah. I can't think of the last name, but I know two of them that are interpreters, so.
Yep. Is it Carrie that we utilize?
Yes, it's Carrie Ulig.
Yulhing?
Yeah, Ulig, and then
Yeah.
another one, and she's from ADRC.
Okay, I know Carrie, she's very good.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep. She's really nice.
All right. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to financial reports. Stephanie, the floor is yours again. Anything new and exciting?
No.
That was a rousing endorsement.
Yeah. Thank goodness GBHA is quiet right now because I have year ends for other ones that are now popping up that I have to take care of. So I'm happy that things are quiet on this end.
Okay. All right, so any questions of Stephanie on the financial report? No?
If nothing
All right,
sticks out to you, I don't need to, yeah.
All right, then we'll move on to item number 3, the Langen report. Pretty self-explanatory. Anybody have any questions regarding the Langen report?
I just want to comment that Bill's really getting her done this morning, though. That's great.
Makes it in this morning. He must have an 11 o'clock.
No, it's 10:57 and this is my 3rd Zoom meeting already this morning. So. All right, so moving on to the director's report. Cheryl.
That's good though. Today's Thursday and I've probably had 18 Zoom meetings this week. Literally. This is the new way to work, man.
It is.
Including the city council meeting that went for like 7 hours the other night.
Yes, that was a long one, but, all right. So, finally, I can say to you that we have a new development director, community and economic development director, starting February 1st. He was approved, his appointment was approved on Tuesday. Luckily, he was early on the agenda, so, and I think he left, otherwise he might have said, what the heck? His name is Neil.
Might have left permanently.
Right. His name is Neil Sexualty. He is currently the Economic Development Director in Sun Prairie. So he'll be starting with us February 1st. I'm very excited about that. We have been, I think, without a director for about 5 months. So it'll be good to be able, this will help with my time, for sure, with doing a lot more of this housing work. So I'm excited about that. Jamie, you want to talk about our staff, our new staff person?
Yeah, how you guys.
Where the other staff sit.
Where are they? All right, so here's Casey, everybody. This is our new resident service coordinator. She has replaced Karen with her retirement that was 2 weeks ago already. So Casey, she's picking everything up super fast, doing a great job with our tenants. We're super happy. So everybody meet Casey. Casey, this is our board of directors, and welcome.
Nice to meet all of you. Very
Good morning,
nice to meet
Casey.
you. Good morning.
Welcome aboard.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm loving it so far. I'm learning a lot, so I really appreciate this opportunity, and this is a really great learning experience, and it's really great to meet all of you. I really appreciate this time.
Welcome. Welcome aboard.
And as for maintenance staffers, we're still rocking and rolling without anybody, so.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Thank God we haven't had a lot of snow stuff and,
Don't say
you know.
that, Sandy. You are going to jinx us.
no, I get into my deck every day, let me tell ya.
So we have live.
Yeah, I know for
Okay.
that. I just even think
Who is doing our
sidewalks, stuff
parking.
like that on a
Yep,
daily
we've got
basis.
staff and, Santi, I think, is working on that, or staff.
Yep,
and
so lines are-
are helping with the sidewalks.
Okay.
I'm going to ask, how long has it been that we've been without?
November.
And we're getting on for 3 months now, huh? Do we need it?
Do we need it?
Look at Jamie's face.
We want aluminum foam toilets and change light bulbs and solve the world's issues every day.
I would say we need that because I need my housing administrator back.
Okay.
Because right now my housing administrator is doing maintenance and
Changing
Saturday
light bulbs?
work. And, right,
That's a reasonable statement. Is it a full-time job?
Absolutely. You are aware of the issues we have at Mason Manor with regards to everything we need to have done there. The age of the building, it is absolutely needed as a full-time
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
position, along with the custodian position. So right now we have, and you'll get to occupancy report, I'm a little concerned. We've got 6 units open or 8. So we're starting to fall behind now because we don't have that extra staff. We do have I think our building services coordinators and background checks. So we're waiting to hear back on the background check on that, but we just haven't been successful in finding the custodian. We've been through a number of interviews and applications, but it's really, I think it's important, as much as we need that position, it's really important we get the right person.
Yes.
We have just the folks that we work with at Mason Manor, we've got some challenges at Mason Manor with some of our tenants. We need to have the right people who are going to be
Understanding of
comfortable
that.
and understanding and, being able to work with our tenants. So, yeah, so we're working on it, Steve.
So is the custodian the one that does, like, changes the light bulbs and unplugs toilets, or is that the maintenance?
Building maintenance is our upper level person. Building maintenance is our boilers, our elevators,
Gotcha.
our big ticket item, the oversight of everything.
Coordinating contractors.
Yep, coordinating contractors, and our custodian is like the helper, the smaller type of maintenance.
Okay.
Directed by our building maintenance guy.
So you really need the building maintenance guy before the custodian, or could you still have the custodian and not have the building maintenance guy in?
We're getting them, they're on the track, the same track. We're trying to get them both.
Oh, okay. That's what I was wondering. Okay.
We had a couple of offers that went out there, and we had really, I think, 2 building maintenance guys, but they didn't like they're on call. Our guys are on call, like every other week. We don't get a huge amount of calls from tenants, but that's not a plus sometimes when you're looking to get out of that. So,
Are you talking about the custodian is on call too, or just building maintenance? Oh, both.
It's and however they want to figure out their schedule, but historically it's been a week on, week off, week on, week off.
Got you. So they work together on that. Okay.
And so I guess this is, I think before we go on, let me just give kudos to the staff at Mason Manor. Jamie, who has been that call person every week of the month since then, and just trying to...
Does anybody want one? I got 3. Who wants one?
And we've got Ka and Casey and just the whole team out there has really been, pulling extra tasks to get stuff done. So kudos you guys out there.
Yeah.
I have a hard time keeping track of just one phone, and I lose all the time. I don't know how you do it with 3. Oh my goodness. I have a couple of old ones in my drawer.
Yeah, so really appreciate everything you guys do. I know it's tough when you're down staff, very, very tough, yeah.
Well, and I've been, our department has been down, we've lost, I think, 6 or 7 people in our own department since September. So HR, right, HR handles everything.
Yeah,
So
wow.
as well, trying to get things done, so.
Does the absence of these positions being filled, does that have any impact, or can it have an impact on some of the audits that we have to go through?
I think it will if we start not filling those units. If our turnaround time starts to get longer, that's what gets us in trouble. So, but other than that, I guess we're saving money technically, right, Stephanie?
Kind of, but we do have contractors to help with other things, which contractors are slightly more expensive than internal help.
Yeah,
But that occupancy dropping, that hurts us hard with what we get for funding and everything like that. It affects everything. So making sure that we can turn those units over has always been the #1 priority. And I really think that Jamie needs those in order to make sure that this authority can continue to function well.
Yeah.
So, and I know we've talked about this before probably, have we had crews just come in and help you with the cleaning and getting them ready and updated the apartment so that we're not falling behind? I'm assuming you are doing that? So it's not falling on Jamie and Ka?
So before our maintenance personnel left, we had a cleaning contractor and we have a painting contractor. And I've been maintaining those relationships, but what is getting difficult is the maintenance that is required before or after, like a hole in the wall, putting blinds up, replacing light fixtures, those kind of things that's where we're having a difficult time trying to coordinate and get done because we don't have a contractor for that per se. But so we've been coordinating everything else, but that's where we're really struggling with right now.
Okay.
All right. Well, very good. Hopefully we can get those positions filled shortly, so get back on track. Yes. All right. Cheryl, anything more for your director's report?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Then moving on to number 5, occupancy report.
All right, so we briefly went over that. For January 1st, we got pretty hit hard with vacancies. So we had 5 or 6 for January, a couple, like 5 or 6 for Mason Manor, a few for scattered sites. So just coordinating contractors and trying to do these unit turns as fast as we can. We are going outside of our 30 days, but we do have a few offline with HUD, so those are not hindering our vacancy report right now because pretty substantial maintenance had to be done, so HUD did allow us to take them offline because it's going to take longer than 30 days, but we're kicking it and doing as fast as we can. And just in 2020, even though we had COVID, we had 48 move-outs and 49 leave-outs. So COVID did not stop us at all, and we have not for 3 months. For 3 months, we did not have maintenance staff for GBHA, so we were able to maintain 48 move-outs and 49 move-ins. So kudos to everybody. Where everybody is just kind of picking it up, and outside of our move-outs and unit turnarounds, because we don't generate work orders for that, we had over 650 work orders generated for Mason Manor in 2020. So that's completely outside of when we get a unit, we don't create a work order to put blinds up or to do stove panels or stuff like that. It's just the inspection is done. So we had over 650 work orders created just for our units in 2020. So,
wow.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for all of that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Perspective a little bit. So.
Sure.
And is that just Mason Manor, or did that include the scattered sites?
Scattered sites as well.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So thanks for doing a bang-up job.
All right. Any other questions on the occupancy report? All right. Looks like we're wrapping things up here. Next meeting is February 18th. Anybody else have anything for the good of the order here as we wrap things up? Otherwise, we're ready right for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
All right. So we have motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Have a safe.
Bye, all. Yes, go back.
Stay safe. Yep. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.